Shalom, my brothers and sisters. Shalom. This is Man's Final Steps, a continuing series to those who will be among the ranks of the 144,000 in multitude mentioned in Revelations chapters 7 and 14. Today is January 23rd, 2014. And in this segment of Man's Final Steps, it is entitled Diet Adjustments. My brothers and sisters, if you have not begun to acknowledge the dietary laws, it will be wise to take a look at Leviticus 11th chapter. The dietary laws, contrary to many false teachings, were given for a purpose and are to be acknowledged, honored, and obeyed to this day. The dietary laws were given for us for a purpose. What many of us fail to realize is that many creatures have been created to be our natural living garbage disposals. From the sea to land, living trash disposal units were created. Many fail to realize that shellfish clean the rivers, the coastal lands. Catfish, pigs, swine, and other creatures were created to naturally cleanse our trash, our garbage. Natural garbage, of course. In this segment, Man's Final Step, it is with the purpose of addressing abrupt changes that will soon come regarding our eating habits. I have entitled it Diet Adjustments for many reasons. My brothers and sisters, many of us are unaware that even while we are honoring the dietary laws, we will face extreme adjustments. Yes, diet adjustments are coming. Consider these words. Matthew 24:7 says, "For nation shall rise against nation and reign against reign, and there shall be scarcities of food and deadly diseases and earthquake in places." He echoes the same in Luke 21:11. There shall be great earthquakes in various places, and scarcities of food and deadly diseases, and there shall be horrors, and great signs from the heavens. My brothers and sisters, let me first state, I am very aware of the verse which informs us that we are not appointed unto wrath. Some people are grabbing that scripture and sitting back and thinking that everything is okay. But I tell you, let us seek to follow the living guidance of a living Messiah, Yahusha. Let us come to understand we must be responsive to his guidance. You see, my brothers and sisters, what many fail to realize is what is indeed described when it talk about not appointing us to wrath. What many fail to realize is that we must look upon the Spirit of Yahusha to get clarity on what defines his wrath. You see, my brothers and sisters, consider this verse before grabbing at the text, before leaning into a false sense of comfort to fuel your unresponsiveness or slothfulness or disregard to the signs of the times. Consider this verse as well. Matthew 5:45 says, "So that you become sons of your Father in the heavens, because he makes his sun rise on the wicked and on the good, and he sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous." As you can see in Matthew 24:7 and Luke 21:11, it mentions scarcity of food, which represents famine, my brothers and sisters. Scriptures regarding end times also foretells of drought, pestilence, and disease. What we may just be unaware of is the method in which things will cause famine, drought, pestilence, and disease. We are unaware of what those methods are. But I ask you, is it really important, or should we be aware that these things that are foretold in scriptures are indeed emerging? I am compelled to believe we will go through a refining process, and we will experience exposure to ensuing famine, drought, pestilence, and disease. If you doubt these words, look around. They're here already. famine, drought, pestilence, and disease is already increasing before our eyes, at least to those who are able to see. The words "not appointed us to wrath" represents Yahusha being guided to a safe place before intense and global famine, extreme famine, drought, pestilence, and disease hit. When it hits a global proportion, when all across the planet it hits tremendously, we will then know what true wrath represents. We will witness it from a safe place. We will witness it as the Spirit of Yahusha makes known to us. Many of us will be guided to a safe place before a specific level of extreme intensity occurs. Yes, extreme levels of famine, drought, pestilence, and disease have not reached global proportions as of yet, but it's coming, my brothers and sisters. It is indeed coming. While I must admit, in some parts of the planet, extreme levels have peaked, but again, it has not reached global proportions, but again, it is rising and will come to be. My brothers and sisters, if you believe Yahusha will be taken to a safe place, if you embrace this belief as I do, this means we have a journey ahead of us. If you believe we will be traveling, questions will arise and are now. How? When? How long will it take? What do we take with us? What foods will we have to eat? And many more questions are present and will come. I have stated in times past that in the wake of famine, drought, pestilence, and disease, we will witness chaos, civil unrest, violence, and much more. With all these things occurring, this will abruptly and drastically change our eating habits. We will come to experience diet adjustments. Case in point, are you one for eating out a lot? Have you become accustomed to fast foods, or does your diet consist of meals from quick service restaurants? Are you one who eat at buffets? Are you somewhat discriminate and picky about what restaurants you patronize? Are you one who have the wealth and the financial means to invest and eat only meals prepared by a professional chef? Do you go over to other people's homes to eat? Whatever the case, soon and very soon, day-to-day routines regarding eating habits will demand diet adjustments. Already, as a result of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster in Japan, Fukushima, Fukushima, researched that nuclear disaster in Japan, which has been spewing radioactive waste into the Pacific Ocean continuously for nearly 3 years now, since March 2011. This catastrophic situation has drastically changed many individuals' diets already. The currents of the Pacific Ocean have spread radioactive waste from Japan to the west coast of North America. Many people have literally stopped eating tuna, ocean perch, and other seafoods out of the Pacific Ocean as a result of this nuclear disaster that continues to spew radioactive waste into the Pacific Ocean. The west coast of North America, along with many Pacific coastal areas, are at risk of radioactive water getting into our food chain as well as reaching our households. While severe drought has prompted acceleration of building desalination plants, these are plants that transform salt water into drinking water. This process does not, however, remove radiation. Diet adjustments have begun and will spread. It is important that we begin to learn how to cook. If we've never practiced it, it is important that we begin to learn what raw vegetables and foods that are edible, that we can eat, that are safe to eat. I say to you, my brothers and sisters, I want to strongly encourage you to read Leviticus 11 chapter. Yes, while there are many species of plants that are edible, there are also those that are poisonous and deadly. My brothers and sisters, I believe wholeheartedly, I am compelled to believe the Most High Father has prepared individuals with the knowledge of what plants we can eat versus what plants to avoid. I am also compelled to believe without a doubt there will be individuals chosen to lead us as the Spirit of Yahusha directs regarding diet adjustments, what is safe to eat, how to manage our portions. We may even experience some manna events, food sent down from the Almighty Father Yahuwah, like in the days of Moshe. We might. I submit to you, my family, it is not just about what is safe to eat regarding diet adjustment. It is also important to know how much to eat. With limited food resources, we will come to realize the importance of rationing food. We will come to realize how we must share what limited resources we have. Yes, my brothers and sisters, diet adjustments are over the horizon. I also believe we will come to appreciate the example when our Mashiach fed the multitude. We will reflect on this passage of Scripture and develop an expectation of possibly being fed by the words of the Spirit of Yahusha. Keep in mind, the Scriptures also state in Deuteronomy 8:3, and he humbled you and let you suffer hunger and fed you with manna which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, to make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. This verse, Deuteronomy 8:3, is also reinforced in Matthew 4:4. It reads, but he answered, said, it has been written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. While we can quickly read or speak the words of these verses, demonstrating obedience in the midst of physical and extreme hunger will pose a challenge of which we will come to master as guided by the Spirit of Yahusha, either directly, through his guidance directly, or through those whom he has chosen to lead us. We will learn to master these diets. We will come to accept diet adjustments. Another major challenge we will face as diet adjustments are demanded of us will be managing our emotions. Yes, bringing our attitudes and emotions into check. Don't seem shocked at what I'm saying, for there are people who get upset if they don't get their cup of coffee. There are people who get angry, some outright furious, if something that they are accustomed to eating is no longer made available. My brothers and sisters, I strongly encourage each of us to be mindful of considering very strongly to reduce the quantity of food we eat each day in preparation for end-time conditions. Those who take heed and begin to reduce the amount of food that we eat now, will minimize and reduce the amount of discomfort and heartache that will come when abrupt change faces us. And this will be soon. It will be wise to begin speaking on these matters among loved ones, family, and friends. Talk about what is soon to come, what is emerging, my brothers and sisters. End times are here and conditions are creeping up on us regarding famine and drought. I realize most of us will probably take a wait-and-see posture. Most of us will wait till abrupt change and intense conditions reach our face before giving any consideration to diet adjustments. The 144,000 and multitude who will be led to a safe place, along with those who will shelter in place and become martyrs, will be refined and come to practice and demonstrate diet adjustments. Those within these ranks will be among the children of obedience. These are man's final steps, my brothers, my sisters, my family. Yes, man's final steps. End times are here. We will witness the intensity of famine, drought like never before. For those of us who are in the United States, who have become arrogant, who have taken for granted the origins of our food, who have disregarded where our food originates, a great awakening is coming. Currently, in California, much of the West Coast, severe drought has resulted with government and municipalities declaring a state of emergency. Yes, a state of emergency regarding fresh water. Yes, this is a result of a 3-year drought that is continuing on the West Coast. There are fresh water shortages, there are extremes, and they are spreading widely. Many of us fail to realize that a large percentage of our food is grown in California. Much of our fruits and vegetables and our nuts are grown in California. There's even cattle raised and livestock raised in California, as well as many western states. These conditions are worsening, my brothers and sisters. Be alert. We will witness spikes in food prices like they have already begun, and we will witness even more increases in food prices. We will begin to see shelves in grocery stores become empty and bare. I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, the wealthy communities will demand food supplies to be shipped to their communities and will be willing to pay extreme prices for foods that they are accustomed to eating. This phenomenon has already begun. If you doubt it, if you doubt these words, research the word food deserts. Yes, food deserts. It is a term, it is a description of grocery stores and urban communities that do not have or offer much fresh vegetables or fresh meat. Much junk food is in these areas. They are deemed and labeled as food deserts. Research that. And while you're searching out confirmation that this phenomenon, that the wealthy is controlling and influencing food supplies in the more affluent communities, seek out information about grocery store closings. I submit to you, my brothers, throughout the United States, in many urban communities, there have been chains of grocery stores closing. The media will have us believe grocery stores are closing en masse because of crime in the urban cities. The media, insurance companies, investors, and many more who will be at risk of losing wealth mask what is truly occurring. Mask that famine is indeed increasing throughout the land. My brothers and sisters, I strongly encourage us to open our eyes and ears. Sadly, those of us in industrialized nations just embrace slothfulness, take for granted what we have already. We tend to embrace the mindset of, well, prices go up, prices go down. We tend to be oblivious, knowing that shelves are getting bare or famine is increasing, a teaching that is widely programmed into our minds from a capitalistic point of view. Diet adjustments are coming. They have arrived and will intensify over the foreseeable future. In the wake of increasing drought and famine, diet adjustments will demand obedience from all who are alive on this planet. There are those who have prepped and set up inventory within their prospective places. However, as word get out, people will be willing to do almost anything, kill, steal, fight, to get hold of food as starvation increases. Secondly, it is most difficult for a person to have enough food that's going to last for hundreds of years or many of years or even 5 or 10 years. It is most difficult. Therefore, the supplies that they have will only last a limited time. They are limited supplies. There's much work for those who will be among the ranks of the 144,000 in multitude regarding diet adjustment. It's time, my brothers and sisters, to begin identifying those among us who are well learned on diverse diets. While we witness so many people vying to be leaders and desires to be mores, shepherds, prophets, etc., I submit to you there are those among us who have been prepared for such a time as unfolding. There are and will be members of the children of obedience who will rise to the occasion to educate us on how to plant, how to nurture, what to eat, what is safe to eat. There are those who have been prepared to guide us on how to manage our food intake, how to acknowledge the need for diet adjustments. Let me ask you, my brothers and sisters, are you sitting back and just waiting for food to pop out the sky? These individuals who I mentioned who have the skills to teach us on what we can eat and what not to eat and how we should manage our diets. Do you honestly think the Most High Father gave them mercy and favor and bestowed on them the opportunity to be educated on what foods to eat without purpose? These individuals have learned, have been educated, have been prepared for such a time as this. They know how to identify what foods we can eat, how to plant, how to manage our diets. Let us pray and watch. Let us be able to discern and understand. Let us be able to identify and acknowledge the talents which the Almighty Father has bestowed on them. It will be wise to begin learning what foods we should be eating. Let us become educated. Let us become informed. I cannot stress enough the importance of beginning to practice diet adjustments now. I cannot stress how close humbling events regarding food and drinking water are very near and will become extreme. Again, these are man's final steps. Hear the warning, O Yasharal. Hear what the Spirit of Yahusha has so ordered regarding managing our earthen vessel as it relates to food and water. I leave with you one more thing to consider strongly, and that is Amos 8:11. It says, "See, days are coming, declares Master Yahuwah, that I shall send a hunger in the land, not a hunger for bread, nor a thirst for water, but for hearing of the words of Yahuwah." You see, as intense times come, as they increase, we will hunger for the words of the Almighty Father Yahuwah. We will hunger and we will run after and seek to identify righteous and living guidance and instruction from the Spirit of Yahusha. Yes, my brothers and sisters, many who will be void of seeing or hearing, many who will be disobedient, who will just ignore those whom the Spirit of Yahusha choose to speak through or use to guide us, will face some trying and challenging results. Many have come to only believe and trust in the letter, the text. Just recently I visited a chat room online where the leader stated that the only way to correct someone is by the scriptures. He stated without scriptures you can't correct anyone. These words are erroneous and wicked, my brothers and sisters. They are far from the truth. Words such as these are purely wicked and they promote death. Why? Because the written text, the letter, just depending on writings, will lead to death. I submit to you, it is the Spirit of Yahusha which makes all scriptures alive. Without such, we will be oblivious to what we must do. It is the Spirit of Yahusha which softens and hardens one's heart. It is through the living power of a living Mashiach, Messiah, Yahusha, that we are made alive. Pray and watch. Ill-conceived teachings will be laid waste. I cannot stress enough that we serve a living Elohim, a living Almighty One Yahuwah, and it is through his set-apart Spirit sent in Yahusha's name that we are taught as well as experience him bringing things to remembrance regarding whatsoever he has said to us. Allow me to read this verse of which I reflect on often. It is John 14:26, and it reads as follows: "But the Helper, the set-apart Spirit, whom the Father shall send in my name," this is Yahusha talking, "he shall teach you all and remind you of all that I've said to you." This is Yahusha speaking, my brothers and sisters. We will be refined, we will be perfected into the image of the 144,000 in multitude as guided by the Spirit of Yahusha during these final days, these final steps. Let us begin to trust that we serve a living Spirit, the Spirit of our Messiah, Yahusha. He will provide discernment and understanding. He will uncover and reveal. He will offer instructions and living guidance, reproof and discipline. Right rulings and judgments will be before us, as with we will see wrath on the children of disobedience. As pertaining to this segment, I strongly encourage you to consider practicing, beginning now, diet adjustments. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, my family, prepare and continue to press forward into the bosom of our Mashiach, the Spirit of our Messiah, knowing that all promises from our Almighty Father Yahuwah will come to be. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, practice diet adjustments. For soon and very soon we will see famine, drought, pestilence, and disease like never before. We will, however, those who are among the ranks of the obedience, be guided to a safe and appointed place, of which I am compelled to believe will be very near the true Mount Sinai region. There will be those of us who will be called to be martyrs, who will shelter in place, and there will be those of us who will be guided to a safe place. We know for sure the 144,000 in multitude will come to be and will be made known and will be visible. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, continue to stay tuned as this series will continue as the Spirit of Yahusha guides, as I am so compelled. Until next time, stay tuned as the series continues. Shalom, shalom, shalom.